The biggest thing I hear with Rockstar is that they're such a big company, they don't need to interact with their customers more than they already are. Very true. People buy their stuff no matter what. And that's exactly my point. People will buy their stuff no matter what, with no communication or with infinite amounts of communication. So why not make the most active players and some of your highest paying customers happy and give them things to look forward to on a consistent basis? In both communities, for GTA Online and Red Dead Online, all you see is people complaining, whining, and moaning about the game. If that awful word of mouth has zero impact on sales and Rockstar doesn't care because people buy their stuff anyway, it's so incredibly ridiculous to then try and argue that the company interacting more with the community and that positive word of mouth that would come from that interaction could possibly, in any way at all, negatively impact their sales. Some people are depressed because Rockstar is collapsing, the end of Red Dead Online is approaching, and the moon has turned to blood. But here, that's where the fun just gets started. Today on the show, we'll be trying to decipher why exactly Rockstar added these game modes into Red Dead Online. It would be very weird timing in its own regard, but that piled on top of the fact that we haven't really seen significant content releases since the Bounty Hunter expansion at the end of the last year, it's even more strange why these modes have returned this week. Rockstar re-added both Halloween game modes, Fear of the Dark from October 2019, and then Dead of Night, which was added with the Halloween Pass and Update Week from October 2020, have made their way back into the game. And today we will be questioning and talking about those, as well as why Rockstar never really seizes opportunities to interact more with their fans when they have something truly interesting to say. After all, a video game is a video game and not any other form of media because it's interactive. The player has actual input in the game. So why does the company who develops that game not interact more with their customers and their fans? I'd love for you to get involved with this dialogue in the comments below as well. If you enjoyed this video at any point, or if you just find it helpful, let me know by dropping a like on this video. And if you want to stay up to date and in the loop with everything Red Dead Redemption 2 and Red Dead Online, consider hitting that subscribe button with your bell notifications turned on. Now, some of you who still play each week probably jumped into the featured series this week and found out that you were queued up in the Halloween game mode playlist. They're quite enjoyable modes to play in this game as well. I really enjoyed Fear of the Dark from 2019 a lot more personally, but I remember that week while players were trying to search for matches on both Xbox and PlayStation at the time, it seemed like the playlist was bugged and you never really find full matches or just rarely connect to a lobby at all. Seldom were players able to get into a match even after close to a half hour to an hour of searching, and then maybe, just maybe, they would find a lobby with 2 other players at most in it. For the entirety of Fear the Dark's release, I would play with my Twitch subs and we would all get to enjoy the game mode together and even do fun challenges in the middle of it. For one example, we started basically like a quasi leaderboard system where we tracked how many times people were Night Stalkers and how many times they were Hunters, and tallied up everyone's total kills at each match and during the course of the stream. And that easily played into why I enjoyed that mode so much. And as a game mode, it was pretty straightforward and it was really intense depending on which team you were on. Fear of the Dark pits supernaturally fast, tough, and strong Night Stalkers against mere mortal hunter counterparts. The Night Stalkers' powers, however, are tied to the skull masks that are strewn about their stomping grounds, and the mask the hunters get their hands on, the weaker the stalkers become, while the hunters' own weapons grow stronger against them. And hunters can only succeed in this mode by collecting all of the masks and then killing the remaining Night Stalkers. The Night Stalkers can win by either wiping out the hunters or surviving until the time limit expires. Now, as for the newest of the 2 modes, Dead of Night, it pits 4 teams in a gruesome fight for survival against each other and the dead, which are basically those undead cult members we talked about in that one leak video. And points are scored for taking out the dead, with higher point tallies for causing the demise of your rival players, and you have to find and steal a Night Stalker mask to take on supernatural abilities and get the competitive edge. Now, back when this game mode initially released last year as well, players received a free package of rewards. All they had to do was complete 1 round of Dead of Night anytime over the next 7 days that it was available to earn triple the usual payouts for it, and a care package consisting of 3 tomahawks, 10 volatile fire bottles, and 25 incendiary buckshot slugs. So why am I making a video on this now? One reason is the fact that these modes have just returned in general. They're seasonal Halloween content, and it's really odd for them to be returning now of all times, but these are also enjoyable modes, and especially if you fill up a lobby with your friends or other familiar posse members of yours. In my case, I streamed it with my own community for several days years in a row, and in both cases of these modes releasing, I've said that I really don't want them to disappear forever after this, even after the Halloween season ends, because they're both enjoyable modes, and clearly the team responsible at Rockstar who put effort into this, it would just be a shame to use these modes for 1 week and then ditch them permanently. It would almost seem like a waste of resources, and as we know, that's now not the case anymore, as they have returned at the end of April and now the beginning of May in 2021. But what's even more strange is that Rockstar brought them back without telling us themselves. Sure, you can chalk it up to them just wanting to surprise us, but I personally don't buy into that premise one bit. This is a special week for the game. You personally may not like these modes, you may not think they amount to much for the game, but these two very rare game modes and features of the game that up to this point have only been around for a couple of weeks out of this game's entire existence, they're rare because of that, and now they have finally returned, so they are quite literally the definition of special. They're different from what is usual for Red Dead Online. So, why not highlight this in the newswire in any official capacity? Fear the Dark and Dead of Night are completely absent from any mention in this week's newswire, not even a little tease saying, hey, check out the featured series this week for a special deadly surprise or anything cryptic like that. It's actually very Rockstar Games though for them to completely avoid hyping anything cool up for the fans, or for them to try and not make active players excited at all. This is not the only circumstance where we see Rockstar directly or indirectly miss opportunities to gas up their games. This is the case with DLC announcements for both Red Dead Online and even GTA Online as well. We have complete and dead silence from Rockstar Games for months and months on end when it comes to keeping their customers, their players, and their fans in the loop about what new changes are coming to the game, what big content releases are being worked on, or even just an idea of what in general players can look forward to. Whenever we discuss this type of thing, there's usually comments that will bring up the fact that Rockstar has let players down in the past and either been dishonest about the scope of a project in one of their announcements, or that things will change in development and they don't want to set a certain level of expectations that they're not positive they will meet. Well, I think that's a silly and nonsensical reason for them to wait until either the weekend before a content update to say anything. When it's come to Red Dead Online, at most, it's been a week before. Even with Frontier Pursuits, they initially teased it with the spring update that released on the 14th of May 2019, but they never went into detail about Frontier Pursuits and that big update until a week before on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019. And the point I'm trying to make here is that there is a significant amount of time between when Rockstar Games is a massive company with over 2,000 employees worldwide, when they set deadlines for projects and commit to certain ideas, and then the week that they announce it to the fans. It's not like 2 weeks before an update releases, they are completely unsure of what's happening with their games that gross millions of dollars monthly, compared to the next week where they're so certain that they make that big announcement after months of silence. They know well in advance what they're doing and they plan for it accordingly. Recently, in a video on this channel, we discussed how Marcel's Moonshiner voice lines are time-stamped in the game files with a date from January 2019, which was 11 months before the Moonshiner update released, or how the Naturalist update was leaked in January of 2020, and we of course received the Naturalist update in July of 2020. Rockstar plans for these things. Obviously, every company does. They simply love their strategy of starving active players of any type of hype so that when they do release information in any official capacity, they go ballistic and insane. And now that's more of at the player level. At the general consumer level, Rockstar won't really promote or advertise their new products or new update for one of their software products usually until the day that update releases. For example, there were no advertisements on YouTube or Twitch for the Naturalist update for Red Dead Online until the day of its release on July 28th, and then literally every time I was served an ad on YouTube or Twitch, it was for said Naturalist update. Rockstar dumps the majority of their ad spending that initial week or two after that content releases so that all eyes are on them and their promoted product. And we could talk about the investor level of things as well when it comes to this as well, like, general shareholders like you or me, where we may have purchased individual Take-Two Interactive stock at one point or several points in the past, or major investors like JP Morgan or even the Vanguard Group, where they own over 2.6 billion shares just between the two of them. But that's a little less tied to why Rockstar doesn't promote their games on the micro level, right? It's always macro level stuff with them. Hit the big marketing beats, make some noise around the time you have a new launch to get people involved. Those customers who haven't played in a while spend extra money on microtransactions. A couple weeks later, before or after, there's usually some good news. Take-Two holds their fiscal quarter earnings conferences because they plan for these things right around the same time. Rinse and repeat every single year. But at the player level, we don't hear much at all. There's supposedly community outreach members employed at Rockstar, but you seldom hear from them specifically. Whatever goes on at Rockstar, it's always behind a veil of secrecy, and they never truly lean in to being an interactive company. They are the definition of a faceless corporation when it comes to this type of thing, and whether they're sure that strategy works, it's just interesting how that's not the case with any other video game software development company in the industry. Indie game development teams are usually the most personable and interactive because they sort of need to be if they want to cut through the noise in the industry as much as possible and make themselves known. But say, for example, with the case of Electronic Arts and Activision, they're much larger corporations in both the scope of individual companies under their umbrella and by revenue per year, and their studios have tried to adopt a more personal approach with customers, and they dish out plenty of teases, game updates, and more when they're ready to share. The Rockstar Games community gets their weekly newswire though, and we have for years and years, and I think we would all be interested in a change of approach by these guys. The biggest thing I hear with Rockstar is that they're such a big company, they don't need to interact with their customers more than they already are. Very true. People buy their stuff no matter what. And that's exactly my point. People will buy their stuff no matter what, with no communication or with infinite amounts of communication. So why not make the most active players and some of your highest paying customers happy and give them things to look forward to on a consistent basis? In both communities for GTA Online and Red Dead Online, all you see is people complaining, whining, and moaning about the game. If that awful word of mouth has zero impact on sales and Rockstar doesn't care because people buy their stuff anyway, it's so incredibly ridiculous to then try and argue that the company interacting more with the community and that positive word of mouth that would come from that interaction could possibly, in any way at all, negatively impact their sales. So with all that being said, I'm out of time for today. We're going to wrap things up right here. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video today, and if you did, hopefully I earned your like on it. And of course, if you are new to my channel and want to stay up to date with all the best Red Dead Online and Rockstar Games content, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single thing. We consistently talk about updates, news, information, tips, tricks, and even leaks, and we'll keep you guys updated here on the channel daily. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want to follow me over on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected with me outside of YouTube. You're more than welcome to ask me any questions. You can follow me at HazardousHDTV, and all of my social media links can be found in the description down below. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you guys in the next Red Dead Online video. Adios, amigos.